We brought Luger. Ole got fired, then they brought him back as a baby face or something.
Right.
Yeah, and because I was the only one that wasn't in Anderson, technically. I guess I'm the one. That's why I had to work with him, and we did some cage matches and did some things, and I think they worked. I remember, I survived them anyway, and we drew some money with it. Luger was a horseman, and you know, great big guy that looked better than anybody's ever looked, and made a lot of money. You know, he always considered himself a cartoon character, and that probably would have been my biggest. Well, my pure honesty, and I'm trying to be very delicate in what I say, just because I'm such a wonderful guy. What word did you just use? It was an asset for Luger to be a horseman?
Yes. But was
I would probably agree with that. It was a much bigger asset to Luger to be a horseman than for the horseman to have Luger. Because the fourth person, it didn't make any difference who it was. Barry came in and it immediately got over, okay? Because they tried to. I mean, you could go back and really study it. I mean, as much as we got beat, when we switched Luger babyface, okay, and we talked about this earlier. One of the biggest mistakes that they made was when they switched Luger babyface. He needed to have some push to him because he hadn't been in wrestling very long, and because of his look, there was so much potential that he was put in places that his ability couldn't handle. Okay, his ability couldn't handle the load that he was asked to carry, and that's not a criticism of him. It was just you can't perform at the level that was required with the business that we were doing in 2 years. Okay, Flair couldn't do it in 2 years. Steamboat couldn't do it in 2 years. Nobody could do it. Your performance wasn't honed down to that level, and he was asked to do things that he couldn't. And so when he didn't get the push, okay, we switched him babyface, and his first thing as a babyface, he doesn't win a battle royal in New York, in our first show in Long Island, and that was a mistake. That was a booking calculated mistake, because it tarnished a guy that you just switched babyface and made him an also-ran. Okay, even though he was 6'5" and built, he needed the push of winning the babyface. He needed to be the guy. Okay, Dusty was already over. He didn't need the push. Okay, he didn't need to win that match, and Luger did. And because the other happened, it started a downfall. In fact, in a limousine driving back to Manhattan to go to the hotel that night, I told Francis Crockett and David Crockett, I said, "This is the Titanic, and you got 2 engine rooms full of water," and I'm not sure they liked it or even remember it, but I remember saying it, and because it was a bad mistake that night. And when we got Barry, I'm sure they remembered it. I'm sure Dusty heard about it, because it wasn't too long after that. Barry and Luger were partners in Beat Me and Arn on the very first live TBS show on Sunday afternoon, and that went on for about a month, I think, and they were trying to wind us down and out and disperse the 4 horsemen, and the other thing just ended up being not good, and that's when they switched Barry heel, because the other tag thing didn't work. Arn and I, they put the belts right back on me and Arn, because they realized that was a floundering fish out of water over there, and they switched Barry to heel and made him part of the Horsemen. Now, actually, that was the strongest group performance-wise, because now you had 4 guys that could all perform and perform at a huge level. it changed the dynamics of the Four Horsemen, because now it took me from a singles role, which Flair and I were the singles, and then Arn and Ole, or Arn and Luger, were the tag team. It took me out of the singles role and put me into the tag team role, which, you know, I mean, I was happy being part of the team, and then it was just, you know, it was fun and everything. But that we went along very, very well and very, very successful. And then we moved into, not too long after that, we did our first pay-per-view in Baltimore. And do you remember what date that was? It couldn't have been too long after. It was 1988 sometime. I mean, we did the War Games in '87, and those were huge matches. The Orange Bowl was more than half full. I mean, it was just huge. It seated 80,000 people for football. It was half full, and they said they counted 13,000 people there.